accept all of myself right now. The 7 words that silently heal your inner child. Carl Jung's deepest teaching. Part 1. The power of a whisper before sleep. We chase healing like it's something outside of us. Therapists, coaches, retreats, podcasts. We search endlessly for the next insight, the next method, the next solution that will finally make us whole. But what if you've had access to that power all along? What if your deepest healing isn't something you find, but something you remember? Carl Jung believed that the real work begins not in effort, but in surrender, not through achievement, but through quiet acknowledgement. And nowhere is that more available to you than in the 30 seconds before sleep. In that moment, when your mind starts to let go, your roles dissolve, your breath slows, a gate opens, not a metaphorical one, a real, neurological threshold. Your brainwaves shift, the conscious mind loosens, the ego drops its armor, and the unconscious, the realm of forgotten feelings, shadow parts, and childhood truths, rises to the surface. What you say in that window matters, because your psyche isn't asleep, it's listening, and one sentence, spoken with sincerity in that moment, can begin to rewrite the myth you've unknowingly lived your entire life. Part 2. The 7 words that begin the return. Let's be clear, these are not magic words. They are psychological instruments, symbolic keys. The phrase is simple: I accept all of myself right now. Say it slowly, say it honestly, say it when no one is watching. And over time, something begins to change, because these 7 words contain an entire philosophy. Let's break them down. You're not outsourcing this work. You're not blaming the past. You're stepping forward as the subject, not the object, of your healing. Except, you're not agreeing with everything. You're not condoning past mistakes. You're simply saying, I will no longer run. All, not just the likable parts, not just the productive self, but the fearful, angry, jealous, insecure, grieving pieces you've hidden. Of ownership. These experiences, feelings, patterns, they're part of you. And they have value. Myself, not your resume, not your reputation, but the full ecosystem of your being. The adult, the inner child, the soul beneath it all. Right, not someday. Not once I've earned it. Now. This is the point of activation. Healing doesn't respond to plans. It responds to presence. Part 3. Why the unconscious only listens at night. Your conscious mind is smart, clever, articulate, but it's not in charge. The unconscious holds the steering wheel. And unlike the conscious, the unconscious doesn't care what you say when you're trying to impress someone. It listens to what you say when no one else can hear you. Especially when you're falling asleep. This is not mysticism. It's neuroscience. In the liminal space before sleep, your brain enters the theta state, a deeply suggestible phase. This is where old memories surface, emotional patterns reorganize, and the unconscious becomes open to symbolic language. Jung understood this decades before modern science caught up. He saw it in his patients, in his own dreams, in the way people began to change, not through insight alone, but through repeated, sincere rituals performed in solitude. Part 4. 3 archetypes that awaken when you speak these words. When you say, I accept all of myself right now, you're not just calming yourself. You're activating dormant archetypes. These are universal patterns embedded deep within the human psyche. Here are 3 that often emerge in response to this ritual. The wounded child. This part of you still believes love must be earned. That if you're not good, you'll be abandoned. These 7 words say, you don't have to perform anymore. You are safe. The shadow. Everything you've denied, your anger, your envy, your wildness, it doesn't vanish. It goes underground, and the shadow grows stronger the more you ignore it. But when you say, I accept all, you turn on the light. The monster becomes a messenger. The inner healer. This is the self that knows how to integrate, how to metabolize pain. You can't access it through strategy. You access it through presence. These words are an invitation for this archetype to return. Part 5. The consequences of not doing this work. Let's talk honestly. What happens if you don't? If you keep rejecting parts of yourself? The inner critic grows louder. The same relationship patterns repeat. You chase success, but feel empty inside. You push away love, then wonder why you're alone. You numb yourself during the day and dread the night. You don't need more strategies. You need reconciliation. And that begins, not with a therapist's question, but with your own voice, spoken in the dark, when it's just you and your soul. Part 6. Real stories from the inner night. Let me share a few more real-world examples from Jung's clinical work and case-inspired stories. A soldier, haunted by the violence he witnessed, couldn't sleep without nightmares. Jung gave him this sentence: "I carry pain, but I am more than pain." Within a month, the dreams shifted, the chaos softened, the soldier began to cry again, for the first time in 12 years. A young woman, obsessed with perfection, suffered from burnout and imposter syndrome. Jung encouraged her to say, "I accept the part of me that needs rest." That phrase cracked something open. She stopped performing for love. She found peace in imperfection. A father, emotionally distant for decades, whispered before sleep, "I forgive the part of me that couldn't love freely." Within weeks, his relationship with his adult children began to thaw. Because when you forgive yourself, others start to feel safer around you too. These aren't techniques. They're inner revolutions. And they always begin with presence. Part 7. How to start your nightly ritual, even if you've failed before. If you're still reading, you're probably someone who has tried meditating, tried journaling, tried affirmations that felt fake. So let's make this real. Here's a 5-step version of the ritual. Turn off the noise. Give yourself 2 minutes of silence. No phones, no tasks, just you. Put your hand on your heart. This grounds the experience. It signals to your nervous system that something meaningful is happening. Speak the sentence, "I accept all of myself right now." Say it once, slowly. If a word catches, pause. That's where the healing begins. Breathe deeply. 3 slow breaths after speaking helps lock it in. Let go of outcome. Don't try to feel better. Let the psyche do its work. The transformation happens beneath awareness. Do this for 30 nights. Don't journal. Don't analyze. Just practice. The unconscious doesn't need interpretation. It needs consistency. Part 8. The shadow doesn't need to be fixed. It needs to be held. Here's what Jung knew, and most modern psychology still forgets. You don't heal the shadow by fighting it. You heal it by seeing it. By saying, "I don't need you to disappear. I just want you to be seen." The angry part, the ashamed part, the needy part, the manipulative part. You've tried rejecting them for years. Has it worked? What if, instead, you welcomed them, even silently, even for one night? Part 9. The long-term shift, how your life changes after this practice. This is what begins to happen after a few weeks. You stop over-explaining. You stop apologizing for your needs. Your friendships deepen. You tolerate less disrespect. You feel sadness without collapse. You feel joy without guilt. You sleep better. You wake up with clarity. And most importantly, you start to trust yourself again. That's the foundation for everything else. Part 10. Why this message is needed now more than ever. We live in a world addicted to speed, to fixing, to productivity. But the psyche doesn't move fast. It moves with meaning. And as the world gets louder, the people who are able to slow down and listen within, they become rare. They become rooted. They become trustworthy. You don't need to be healed to be worthy. But you do need to stop abandoning yourself. Final words. A whisper that rebuilds the inner temple. Say it tonight, not because you have it all figured out, not because you're ready, but because you're done running. I accept all of myself right now. You'll feel silly. Say it anyway. You'll doubt it. Say it anyway. Because the unconscious is listening. And your soul is waiting to hear the sound of home again. If this spoke to you, leave a comment. Share a sentence that's helped you survive. Someone might read it tonight and find peace. And if someone you love is still rejecting themselves, forward this video. You may never know the impact of one quiet message, whispered at the right time. Subscribe to this channel if you want more than surface-level advice. Here, we go deeper, into shadow, into self, into soul. Thank you for being brave enough to listen. Your presence here matters. And your voice? It's welcome. Always.